It's good to have some connectivity with the previous presentation. Some things are, my colleague in Latvia have already spoke, but I will do regarding the Portuguese case. So, first of all, many thanks for having invited PFC Portugal for this presentation. And I thank you to BioRural and the entire team of this project. My name is Raquel Martinho, and since I started in PFC Portugal, I am the responsible for the Portuguese forest certification system and the manager of the PFC process and trademarks. So just to start just a little bit, not the focus because my colleague has already presented, but a little bit of PFC certification around the world, because PFC is a leading global alliance. So it's an international system where PFC operates through the mutual recognition of the national schemes. PFC Council established the international standards, called it benchmarks, and then at the national level, we work with them as guidelines to work on our contest, national contest. Well, PFC Portugal was also one of the founding members of this alliance. It's the third country to get recognized a long time ago. As I saw, the next from Latvia, and before Spain, that are the fourth member. And so this works on a bottom-up approach where PFC International maintains the rules of the standardization with impersonal verification by all the entities involved. It is this approach which ensures the consistency and the transparent system and is not found in any other global forest certification systems. This unique approach from PFC. All national standards are assessed by an independent assessor to ensure compliance with the international requirements. At the Portuguese case, we have a national sustainable forest management standard within the context of our country, but for the industry, for the chain of custody certification, we work with international standard. We have translated the requirements for Portuguese, but the rules are the same as the PFC Council wrote on their standard. So, independent of its international or a national level, we all care about forests and how to protect them at each country. The mission and the vision of the PFC certification is the same. The proposal is the same, to promote sustainable forest management. For that, we work through national forest certification systems, as me and my colleagues said, enabling countries to tailor their sustainable forest management requires to the specific forest ecosystems, the legal and administrative framework, the social and cultural context, and other relevant factors at the national level, of course. This is the rationale that makes sense within PFC, not setting one international standard that is the same for all regarding the different forest contexts, and for that allows forest owners to follow the certification that makes sense to them because are within the context that they know, not the international context. For PFC Portugal, this is the last numbers from the final year. We see we want more, of course. We pretend to help people to understand PFC certification and get use this tool to operate better on the field and after in the industry. And we work on the similar approach to help them to understand it. But we already saw along the time that the numbers are increasing because the care and the thoughts of everyone is getting more knowledge and understanding why this is important. About our specific case on the forest composition, the main land use in Portugal is 36% of the national territory. It's less than the previous presentation, but even those, the forestry is very important on the national content. The main species are eucalyptus, maritime pine, and cork and oak stands called it montado. About the ownership regime, we have private forest ownership represents 84% of the Portuguese forest ownership. Only 2% belongs to the state. These figures place Portugal at the top of the European countries with the highest percentage of the forest privately owned. Beside the environmental criteria, this also reflects on social aspects. Most of our forests are private and with very, very tiny areas to be managed. And so they must be managed with a well-thought management to get what is needed from the land, but not forgetting the social and environmental aspects. The forest sector in Portugal contributes to 2% of the national gross domestic products. Social aspects are also linked with the economic criteria. The high number of the landowners and with the small size of the forest property, the goods produced in this way support not only the owner's livelihood, as well as an important and integrated industry natural resources-based chain. Forest is also responsible for many direct and indirect jobs in Portugal. As key aspects of the Portuguese forests, we can highlight the long and well-established relationship between forest and society. Afforestation programs we have been a lot, the promotion of multiple land use and fixed rural population, it's very important on our case. And the forest legislation is also important to be on the forest planning. For us, in the PFC perspective, not only legislation needed to be complied, of course, but also understandable for all these properties that have tiny, tiny areas to manage, and also applied good practice to work on the field. So to get all of this, you need to manage how to do this. This is our standard, national standard, that were evaluated in the last years. We had the PFC Council recognition at 3rd of November of last year. A long process of discussion with the stakeholders to get this work done, and with consensus get the new approach of the requirements that my colleague has presented before, and the new subjects that we pretended to insert on this new tool, because we all see the forest management certification as a tool to manage and to implement on the field. So with this, we care about environmental, social and economic balance between all the requirements that we have. In general, it gives a framework to forest owners, to managers, to ensure that practices are sustainable. Through certification, they can then demonstrate that they apply sustainable management practice in their forest all days. For example, one of the subjects that currently day-to-day debate is the carbon sequestration. So with this, we can also work on the balanced way. For example, increasing the volume of woody material, but for example, in the case of Portugal, we have to have a lot of care on the amount of volume that we have on our forests to not have forest fires. So this balance is very, very important to have. The Portuguese standard is based on the pan-European criteria, and as you can see, each subject we intend at least maintain the values, but also encourage to get more and more along the time. Every time it's possible to the certified entities promote more work and encourage have increasing the values that they have on their certification. All these subjects are important to the forest management and the PFC certification as carbon cycle. That's why I also spoke about carbon. And the ecosystem healthy, biological diversity, and important conservation, protection, and socio-economic functions. These are the main targets to follow, and after we have indicators on each one to follow to get at to maintain or encourage to have more these final goals. So the certification starts at the origin in the forest and goes through the industry where all the products are made. All this process needs to be tracked and verified under PFC certified products to be sure that they were well managed at the forest and were not lost on the chain of all the industry that's taken to produce a part of the other product that comes after. As indicated by FAO, all trees are important resource and contribute to environmental and socio-economic well-being of humanity. For PFC Portugal, we agree with this fact, and so on our last revision, we have already taken the new approach of PFC Council, the trees outside the forest. We understand that this extension from beside the forest, going beyond the forest, increase the value of the management based on good practice, because we will do what we think it's good to do on the forest, based on, as I said, but going after the forest. So urban areas and agricultural areas that doesn't fit on our forestry definition can also have a tool to management according to our criteria. So we were the first member of the PFC Alliance to get recognized for this new scope. Before Portugal was India and Netherlands, and we get the last one until now, but I'm sure that all are expecting Latvia to go through also to this new scope. It's good to see all work through the PFC Alliance also. On our case, we have more perspective on increasing the areas for urban areas, because we have a lot of green space in our cities, and it will be very good to see that they can be managed on good practice and according to a new law that came in 2 years ago, I think. So, introducing a little bit of PFC and showing that certification can be a tool, why it's important to certify, how to connect all these situations. Thinking on the subject that is very talked daily by day, carbon sequestration and man, society and forest management, how to balance this situation, because we need the products that comes from forest, but we also need forest to today and in the future to mitigate the climate change, as we all know. So as PFC Council says, climate change affects us all, and only working all together we can do something objectively, and it's possible to do the difference. That's why I think that we need to work with the certification as a tool to comply with all the requirements, criteria, and goes to the various subjects that I mentioned before. So forest certification increase the values of the forests by building consumer trust, creating additional value and demand forest products is one of the best ways to keep forests standing, as it prevents them from being cleared and alternative land as such an agricultural. So with this as getting a well management at the origin, and after knowing what products we have at the supermarkets, for example, we can have the trust that they came from a sustainable management. They were thinking on getting us the resources that we need, but also we are still in getting the forest at the origin to get more and more products, and also to help us on all the other diversity values that we need. There are, for example, some products that we have, and the trademark, the PFC trademark, help us to know that where they came from, and they are respecting all the rules that PFC Council has written, and at the national level was implemented also. Just to understand the flow of the products, so we get the origin, that have certification for sustainable forest management according to the national standards, and then at the industry they have also a standard. In our case, as I said, it is an international standard that we also applies, and then at the market we can see by the brand, PFC brand, that they are respecting the rules that were identified by PFC Council and implemented at the national case. So also this is all connected, everything, because we all care about forestry and the values that are within the forest, and of course they are also related with the SDGs, that in case of forest, these are the most connected. The water in the the forest management that have a management according to good practice and legislation have a better quality, of course. Using products from forests. Forests we know that are green energy kind of products. We care about social criteria, and of course economic are also needed to be balanced, because as the first presentation said, with no money it's not possible to implement the situations, and it is not possible to satisfy the forest owners, so it's needed to be everything well balanced. And of course, choosing PFC products, we are also engaged to all these values and to promote at the end of the chain a good practice.